Focus on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then it feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in December 29th, 2021, and we need to talk about how to trade options in 2022. So today was a very boring day. We actually got the lowest volume all week. Even yesterday was pretty slow, but coming into the new year, it is not going to be too exciting. Even the news flow, really not too much has changed from yesterday and today. Tomorrow, a lot more markets will be open, so we should get more activity. So with today's watch list, I want to make it a little bit simpler. We have pretty much everything that you see Jerome Powell, we love him, amen. But we got everything that we're going to normally cover. I want to even go over another fun fact of what this week has already produced, but I got the plays and everything. But I do want to highlight a trading strategy with options. So we did make a couple of plays today. I even got to close out of a couple of them too, but I noticed something about them. We had nice 40%ers, 20%ers, even some very quick flips. And if you saw some of the weeklies, they've been doing pretty good there. But I just want to show you an easy strategy. We've went over charting the options. We've talked about it, but I want to give you more insight, and now we got like 4 or 5 plays to back it up with. So shout out to Chad, baby. Bear with me on this one. Let's have some fun and talk about it. Some of you may have heard, if not, but let's get ready for the new year, and in these next few days, just get ready for a lower trading environment. So let us get right into it. Make sure you like the video. We love and appreciate you, and make sure you check us out on the live, baby. YouTube.com/the stock market. It sounds weird without YouTube.com. I know. But before I get into some of the plays, we're going to start with it. I just want to talk about this first pretty picture. So what you're seeing here is the weekly moves on the NASDAQ in either direction. And pretty much now we have entered the 5th week of 2.5% or more in either direction. So why this is unique? Because the last time we saw this sort of streak was in 2011 after the European debt crisis. So interesting times back then. But the other 6 times that you've seen this throughout history, the market has actually ended up in the following 6 months every single time. So a lot of people are pointing to the volatility that we've been getting. We are still surprisingly getting some large moves, and that's why, man, just keep the helmet on and get ready for the beginning of the year. But jumping into the plays now, what I want to show you, this is why I want to put it at the beginning of the video, because we keep talking about this, but I just want people to start charting the options and taking note of the relative value of the options that they are buying. So starting with the first play, you're going to get the option chain. I'll show you what I'm talking about, but I grabbed 5 of the January 405 calls for Facebook this morning. Even within like 7-8 minutes, they went up. Again, there was a pretty big rush, and what you saw with Facebook this morning, I mean, be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Again, the option premiums are actually moving, and some of these stocks are kind of taking off here early in the morning, so watch out for this, because we are getting activity early, and then it might chill out. But again, tomorrow might be a little bit more interesting of a day. But coming into the option chain, here is the play that we made. So these were the 405s. I got them right in the morning, and you could see I was the first trade, and this is just what I want you guys to get in a habit of, is looking at the relative pricing on the day of, compare it of where the option stands at the day. And I'll show you a trick with one of the other plays there. You can just look at the daily pricing and where you're at on the day. This is key, and usually as long as you make sure you're near the end, obviously with any of these plays, it depends what the underlying asset does, but on the daily, you want to be as low as possible. And even with this play, I got a little bit below where it opened at 45 cents, so that was good. But then if you compare it to the day before, this is kind of bad, because you can see those options were going for 24 cents, and then they shot up to like 35.40. So I did pay a slight premium, but at one point they were also going for 60 cents, so kind of got a 50% discount. That's me comparing the value to the day before. But now let's pull it back even more, and this is something where the volatility has kind of helped us in the last few weeks, but now you want to just pay attention of where is the contract relatively speaking on anything beyond the last 2 days, and usually the best idea is to get lower than not. So I'm coming back here, and if you've noticed Facebook, it has been running, and this is something like the frog, but pretty much compared to any time last week, the stock is up. And now these further out of the money options, since the pace in IV and volatility has killed it a lot, you're seeing that the options were pretty much at the lower end. So this is one of the big things I wanted to highlight with it, just where I'm saying as long as you're making sure you're getting it on the lower end, you have a better chance of getting a flip on it or some sort of profit. Again, if you've been watching me take profits on these, I've just been going for like 20%. In this case, we got this sell out for about 40 cents or 40%. It went up to 64 back to that previous high. So I said, all right, I took advantage of the daily premium, getting it at a good price. It shot back up to the price it was at yesterday. Boom, right there. That was 40% and I was out. It was a couple $100. But again, the idea here is chart out the options. So let's go to the next Disney play. And now if you don't know how to chart out the options on TD Ameritrade, if you have this quick trade up or if you go to any sort of chart, pretty much I use this quick chart and I use this one, but set the link to the color and then all you got to do is go to the option trade, right click it, and then you could either send the quick chart or send to and then find the color, and then boom, it'll show up here on E-Trade. All you got to do is press link 1 and set a number and then set it to the chart, and then you're there. You can chart on like Robinhood and other platforms. I don't know about Webull, but whatever you could do, again, even downloading TD Ameritrade for free just to get an idea of this pricing. Like I'm saying, coming into this year, this will be a very advantageous strategy, or like I've always said, just a little bit of awareness. It could save you a little bit of extra fluctuation on the option or give you that little edge in the premium that you're going to need. So coming into the next play now, that Disney one, I ended up selling out of this, but we bought this one a couple weeks ago or on the 17th, so about 10, 11 days ago. I grabbed the March 175s for $1.72, sold out of them at like 205. It was about a 20% gain there. It's a $1,000 position, so I got about like $200, but coming to the play here, what you'll notice now is that I used this strategy, but I didn't do good in some way. So this was the day that I got it on that Friday, the 17th. But notice if I got in at 170, you could see the option was at like 160, 170 the day before. That's why I liked it. And then take a look on the days prior. That was pretty much the low, but I didn't take advantage of the daily move. And you'll see that with the next play here. But even though you could get a good play and it could run, and again, don't take this as set in stone. This is the problem. And again, you need the place to move, but I did buy it on the high of the day. And now this one, the next day, we came back from the holiday, they dropped, and then Disney came up, but you can see it took a few days to break out. It barely went up a little bit the day before, dropped again, and then today it started to pop. So in this case, you could see we got it at a decent price relative to the past 2 weeks or so, but we paid a premium on the day, and you could kind of see now the mixed result, but we still got our profit, and again, been quick to take the profits. Got to close that out, but be aware of where the options are at. That was the second play. Then the third play on the day was Amazon, and this one was just a very quick flip, and now this one was taking advantage of the daily, and now with this contract, and this is on the plays for this week or even coming into tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at a bunch of these because if you see how it moved today and just Amazon in general, it is just ready to move. So I'm going to skip down here to the plays for you, but the stock is pretty much ready to move and so are the contracts. And we talked about this earlier this week. We just said, find one of these contracts a little bit closer to the money. They are going to have a little bit of premium. I got a decent amount of time, but these are going to be good to flip, and Amazon's kind of in the middle between lagging and leading with everything going on. So even coming into the beginning of the new year, I think this will be good. But now to even understand the premium a little bit, let's go to the play, the 35.80 for Amazon, January 21st. And again, you can see January, it's 24 days. So these contracts have the ability to move, but if there is one wrong move, don't underestimate the ability for these things to clap you. So be careful with that. Am I not out of the money? Where is it? Where is this play? Right there. But what you'll see with this play, I think I got in right here at like 27 or 28.70, I believe. Again, I was bidding on it, and you'll actually see, and this is part of the problem here. I got in at 28.12 or 28.20, but you can see my orders. I was putting in orders at 27.70, and it was only like 10, 20 bucks low. I was being really, really cheap with it. So I did see this contract pretty much fall through. One of them went for 27.05. Then we got in at 28.20. And then as the stock moved from the middle of the day, you could kind of even see it on Amazon's chart. Essentially, the stock was lower throughout. Then it had this move. This is where I got the profit off of, but essentially I got to make a quick 200 on the contract, and you'll notice it didn't even really touch below that. I bought in at 28, I sold out at 30, but the thing I liked about it is that not only was it hitting a brand new low of the day, you could kind of see it on the chart, but even on the relative pricing, it was cheap. So I figured, hey, I know there's a little bit decay. It is far out the money, and that's why picking some contracts closer, you could see it here. Not all the contracts are newer. They've been there. Some haven't really bottomed out just yet, but by not paying too much of a relative premium on the week and then getting the lowest price of the day, that could usually give you a slight edge. So sometimes it's hard, and again, if you start trying to bid and pick for pennies, you might even miss out on plays. That is the dilemma with all of it, but hopefully you're seeing how this plays out. And then finally coming into the fourth, this was that weekly play. I sold out of the final 10 here. This one was now 60% gain. We got these at like 9 and 10 cents. Remember, I bought 100. I sold out the first set at 13, so we got like $400 or $500 profit. $1,000 position, about a 50% net. But again, even with that play, you'll see, and this one's more difficult with the weekly. That's the thing you have to take in mind. You could go find any play and find an option chart that's at the bottom. It doesn't mean it has to bounce, especially if it's like super far out the money with no time. This strategy, or even looking at the options and having that awareness, it's not going to help you. Usually you want to be able to look at the option prices to actually see even the contracts that are still alive and have a pulse. Some of them, they may have a bid or an ask or a wide spread, but they just don't really have a pulse. But coming to this weekly play, we made this one at the end of last week, or like Thursday, but I got it here at the bottom, like towards the end of the day with that 10 cents. But why did we get it? You could see on the relative pricing that same day or the day before, it was going for 18 cents. You know, Ford was actually popping. It came off the bottom. Even the week before, these were a lot, and this is pretty much time decay and not being in the money. That's what that's pretty much showing you, are going in the money and falling out. So the stock got a little bit life later in the week. Those weeklies popped up, but then they came back down really quick. We held those over the weekend. I grabbed 100 of them, and then on Monday, they ended up dropping a little bit, but you could see shortly thereafter, they started to run up, and then they played out. And again, you're even seeing with some of these, they'll really end up even at the same price we bought it, and that's usually the idea if you're getting it at the open and close prices, or trying to get a deal versus the next day, and even keeping that in mind, that's pretty much what you're seeing take place. But again, this was another play where we were able to get a profit off it, a relatively fast one. And what I'm trying to show you with all of these is highlighting that any of the premiums that are getting purchased at the bottom, those are doing good. And then on the contrary, any of the other premiums that we're still holding that aren't doing so good. So like if we even come to like the Nvidias, remember we have 2 of those sets. I'm up on the one yesterday. Those were good, but that one that I'm down like 57% on, we could see what sort of pretty much mistakes that we made, and probably I ended up buying and paying a little bit of premium. So let's go to the February 385 calls. These ones are still down 58%. It's the 385 calls, and we bought them on like December 7th or December 8th. So let's pull it back a little bit. And sure enough, even December 7th and 8th, I got it in at $9. The day before, there was a bounce. It was going for $6. I was paying a premium on the relative. Even if I got it at the lower end, there was clearly a premium. Let me see if I can pull it back a little bit further, because you're like, wait, why would you buy with such a premium? Because they were going a little bit higher relative, but you could kind of see here, that one is like right in the middle at $9. So they were cheaper before, bought the dip hoping it would get up there and kind of continue, but that didn't happen. And again, you could blame the underlying stock, but realistically for me, I'm probably just going to blame, I'm like, all right, that's what I get for paying for some of the premium. But as you see with the other plays, you could always find a way when the premium balances out. You may have some time, and in this case, that's why having sometimes does give us a little bit of wiggle room. So hopefully that helps and gives you a little rundown. But what I'm trying to say here is just in 2022, be aware of the options and understand the relative pricing that you are paying. And as you'll see, we could go over a lot of plays. We'll keep bringing this up on the watch list, but I just want to make this one clear because you'll be able to see a pretty clear result, or at least maybe even a 10 or 20% difference on entries and exits, or at least the entries, and make money on the buy. But coming into everything else, again, we pretty much talked about all of it. Today was very simple. The news did not change anything from yesterday. The volatility is still there again tomorrow with most of the markets open. Australia is back open and all that. We should see a more active day, but don't expect full volume to come back till the New Year's. But like I said earlier, the fact that premium is moving, and even these morning moves, and even kind of towards the end of the day, there is still some plays on the table. So we covered all of that coming into the company news and events here. There's a couple of quick ones. The first one, and watch out for the travel ones, and and even overseas and abroad. But the China plane cleaning rule, they're instituting a new mandate on how planes need to be cleaned and grounded there. It actually led to a Delta Airlines flight getting turned around. It has actually sparked some talks here with government. We're hearing about it, but there's essentially some problems happening over there. So watch the travel names, and even for any tension to develop in that area, but watch out for that. Then Ford, their market value has closed above GM's for the first time in 5 years. So actually a pretty big deal, and I think it highlights kind of what Ford is doing. Again, there's other names like GM in the EV race, but Ford has been executing and doing good, so that's a big piece of news for a lot of people. So that was good to see. And then on the negative side, Bitcoin slide so far. It kept dropping even after that little bounce, and now the December losses has made it worse than May. And actually, in the last 24 hours, there has been over $524 million in forced liquidations because of margin calls. So pretty wild, but we'll see how this one keeps playing out there. Again, maybe the new year and some of the crypto rules and all of that, or taxes, but we will find out very, very shortly. And then finally, AMD is switching to an online presence for CES, the Consumer Electric Show. A couple of others had decided to do the same thing, but kind of just showing a little bit more of these COVID headlines. You even heard more Apple stuff and all that. So that stuff is definitely still lingering, but most people are hoping that the seasonal retail effect here should keep the market up until something develops at the beginning of the year. But the volume is low, the opportunity is high. We're still gonna be there and hope you're locked in, but you've already got the lesson on the plays, and we got a couple more ready to go, so I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it, so let us get into the plays. So right off that bat, we already covered one of the plays that I liked, but I still got a couple of more for the rest of this week. And again, coming into the new year, there's still some plays that we have with time I'm still holding. Even some of them came up here today. I'm taking profits. I'm willing to recycle and keeping my options open, so keep that in mind here. But the first play, this one is very risky, but I went for a SPY next week. It's pretty much a daily YOLO with a little bit of time. It's pretty far out the money, but essentially if we get an epic year-end rally beginning of the year too, we are already beating the averages. Even though today was a down day and tech did sell off, historically this is only the second day after the holiday, and we are still right there hanging out at that average. And even the Dow did good. There was a lot of broadening, so if it does get exciting, I think one of these YOLOs could be pretty decent. So I did go with this SPY play. It is extremely risky, and again, you could apply this to what we just talked about with the lesson. Look at the premium and you'll kind of see the risk. But I got 20 of the January 3rd 488 calls for 14 cents. We got them a little bit there at close. They instantly went down, and some people were asking me, they're like, well, would you average down on that immediately? And I said no, and that's simply because I just got the play, and given the fact that this is a shorter term contract, these are going to move a lot. You've watched a couple of daily trades by me in the last few weeks. Essentially, the real move on this, if I wanted to average down, it would be going for a closer to the money contract. So let's see the chart on the options here. Again, I could right click, go down to more info, send it to the quick chart, and boom, here is the option. And you could kind of see what I'm talking about. That's a weird chart right there, but we'll see it here on the day. The purple line, I don't know why they do that theoretical thing. That's TD Ameritrade, but you could see the chart here itself. So I'm here at the 14. Throughout the day, they were going for like 8 cents. I guess they opened at like 10. Then they shot up to 18 cents, or I guess, no, wait, this is the day before. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, dang, they were really cheap. So actually, these opened up at 18 cents. So we got it cheaper on the day. They were a little cheaper prior, but now we could pull it back a little bit. We'll see on the week. At one point, they were going for like 27, 30 cents. They dropped here. So today was their real awakening at 14 cents. We're like a little bit above average. So you can see this one's risky. We're going to need some of the move. The best thing we got going for us, I guess, to justify the premium would be that we saw yesterday, and today things are still kind of holding up. So we will see, but that's going to be a very risky short-term play. Hopefully it works in our favor, and I'm not going to hesitate to take profits again with some of these plays that you've seen. Even those apples, I got out of that Apple weekly. I don't think we covered that one, but we got out of that one at 30%. Again, we had that one last week. If you guys remember, I think I got it the same time there as the Ford, and here's the option chart for it. You can see I got in. I remember that day. Remember we caught that quick 30% on it. I forgot what I paid for it. Let's see over here. We got them at 45 cents, so it looks like we did have that gain. So again, in that case, the option was up. We got it pretty much at the low of the day, which was still pretty low. It went up. I didn't take profits, and if you remember, That play stayed down. It kind of came to life yesterday. That helps with that good entry we got. But then they were down today, and then they shot up. They went up to even like almost 80. Got out at 60. That was about a 30% gain. So closed out of that play. But again, pay attention to the premiums. But that was just all tied into the first play. That was this SPY. We went over the Amazons again. I'm going to look for another one of the plays that I made there today. I think that's going to be a good one. And then finally, Walmart. Remember, we made a flip on that last week. I'm holding one more contract, but now those premiums are going up. If you notice, Walmart was like an outperformer. It's one of those weird names. It moves a little bit weird, but the contracts were weird. They stayed down for a while, but now they're getting gassed up again. I think this is kind of kicking into play if they do kind of start to flow a little bit better with some of this uncertainty end of the year, maybe even some window dressing. I think they could be really good. So going to be watching this tomorrow. I really want to watch their relative strength in the morning. If they do hold out, could be a good day, but we have seen this thing flip a couple of times. But those are the main plays. As far as everything else, pretty much going to be watching those. Going to keep a close eye on Facebook. Watch Goldman Sachs. Banks were very, very important here today. Again, that XLV, XLE, and all of that trio, that was the key to watch. Ford, I think, is going to be key. We'll see if it has any momentum after that GM news. Disney as well. I sold out of it just because those contracts, I don't think I got the best price, and they were moving weird, but Kevin O'Leary was talking about them. People are getting ready. I mean, they could get a good upturn. They could use it, and they may have earned it. It's just been down for a while, so sold out of that one. May look to double dip. And then Apple and Facebook, like we said, Roblo, they got clapped. Our option went down, even though it was holding up a little bit in the morning, and they even got some good like partnership news with Paris Hilton. I don't know, but watch out for them again, even to the end of the year. We'll see if it's more taking profits, but a lot of the meta names did drop, and there is a new ProShares meta ETF being created, but still going to keep my eye out for them. Same thing with Microsoft. Again, they were just catching some of the steam here, but if they do start taking off, I mean, this is a good price. Just don't forget kind of how they performed recently. Was that after hours? What did they just do? I guess they're moving up here too, so that's good to watch, but watch some of that strength there. Keep an eye out for them. Airbnb, they slipped up a little bit today, and travel was kind of mixed, and even like UAL, they held up, which I was surprised that option is down on the weekly, but keep your eye out for any of the travel plays. Just see how they perform with all the headlines. Even CCL, there was this like cruise news about like 29 cruises or something, or 89 confirmed cases across the cruises, but could lead to an investigation. Stock ended up doing pretty well today. I mean, it was positive most of the day, except for after hours here, but watch them, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, TLT and the dollar, there's really nothing going on. It's just doing 0.5% up and down. The bond auctions have been good yesterday. Today was decent. It's all on the shorter end of the curve. The yield curve has flattened. The only real big development here with bonds is the pricing in of a rate hike coming in around May 2022. But again, until the bonds point to a direction, nothing's really there. And the first real updates are probably going to come from the Fed around early January. That's probably when we'll start to see some action. So it's going to be pretty slow, but it's going to be pretty straightforward. And there's a lot of opportunity on the table. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet on. I need you to remember, baby, chest to the sun. Know where it is. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.